Hello and welcome to the Car Care Nut channel. Welcome back to the fourth and last part of the ultimate guide to your Toyota Lexus Scion suspension and steering. In today's video, we're going to be touching on the last parts, which are the sway bar links, and sway bar bushings. We're also going to talk about alignments. That seems to be another controversial subject. So before we get into it though, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit thumbs up if you like the video. Follow the channel on Instagram and Facebook so you wouldn't miss out sneak peeks of future videos. And without further ado, let's dig right into it. So let's start talking a little bit about the sway bar. As the name says, it's a bar that runs from the left wheel to the right wheel, connecting the two struts or the control arms in some cases. It depends on the design of your Toyota. It basically prevents the car from swaying when you make turns, so it wouldn't do one of those dealios. So it stayed relatively stable. Now, this sway bar is just a good old chunk of metal. I've never really seen one go bad, unless it's very rusty, which even then, I haven't really seen one break. We're not talking about high performance cars here. However, there are two components that are related to the sway bar. First is your sway bar links. Just like they say, they link your sway bar on one side and either a strut or a control arm on the other side. Depends on the design of the car. Different shapes, different sizes. There's some cars have front and rear, some cars only have front. Again, depending on the design. Typically, if you have a rear solid beam, like we talked about a few videos ago on this series, you don't have rear sway bar links. If you have a multi-link in the back or McPherson strut design, you usually have those. However, some of the beam style you can add a sway bar to it, but we're not going to get into that too much. We're going to focus on the fronts, which is similar to the rear if you have them. Let's talk about sway bar links. Now, if your Toyota is 2002 and up, you rarely hear about this guy. A few exceptions though. That was the time where Toyota made huge improvements to the sway bar links and their prices too. Before that, it used to be every other car that comes in the shop. Oh, I got a noise from the front. Yep, your sway bar link is loose. Every other one. Very common. After 2002, starting right around 2002 Camry, with a few exceptions, solid, nothing. The only reason that the sway bar link goes out is someone either broke it when they were doing a strut, or the car is 15, 20 years old. But 5-year-old car, oh, I need to put sway bar links just because I need to pay my mortgage. No, that's not going to happen. The only thing that goes bad with these, again, just like the ball joint we talked about previously, this has a joint. Similar to a ball joint, there's two of them. This allows for side-to-side movement of the arm. When these go loose, you can feel the movement. Like I'm holding this straight and I'm moving it up and down. Do you see how that's stable? When these go bad, you can feel clunk, clunk, and then again, in and out movement as well. And they start making a horrendous noise. One highlight of this horrendous noise is, it's a little older Corolla, 98 to 2002. Horrible, just horrible. When these things go bad, it just feels like the whole front end is gonna fall apart. It's just, and that Corolla is probably this long. On your more modern Toyota, let's say 2002, 2003 and up, you're not gonna be replacing these very common. Very often, you're not. The only reason I see these fail is someone rips this boot and then all the grease comes out, and then give it a year and the whole joint is stiff and now it snaps. We've seen that. And this is a side note in case you own, no, this is not the same as Hondas. I worked with Honda previously, briefly, and it seems like, again, every other car was like that because they were made out of plastic. This is actually one of the newer ones, it's aluminum, but Most of them are made out of metal. They're very high quality. You rarely see one go bad unless someone mishandled it. Another common thing with these, when we need to replace these, is if you live in the Rust Belt, these are notorious to seize. Now, some of them, and I'm going to say the older ones because, believe it or not, I can't believe I'm saying older cars. Like I say, mid-2000s to late 2000s. They used to have an Allen key right here where you can put it, hold the middle, and then get that seized nut out. That was beautiful. It worked great. Unfortunately, with the new designs, as you can see, this one, I don't even know what car this is out of. Maybe a Camry, newer Camry. That's gone. I don't know how much it cost them to drill the Allen head here, but I guess too much, so it's gone. So unfortunately, these, when you get to replace them, if they're seized, you're gonna end up destroying the whole joint just to get it out. So that's one reason to replace them. If a mechanic comes and tells you, oh, you need sway bar links, you need to ask why. Is it loose? Show me. Usually you'll have this connected and the bar will be connected here. You'll hold the bar and move it and you'll hear clunk, 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 clunk. Yep, it needs to be replaced. The end of the story is very simple. You might want to go aftermarket with these. And I'm going to say this from a cost perspective. The aftermarket one will usually be 10, 20 bucks. Original one, 100 plus. Worth every penny in my opinion, but I think that's a bit much. Again, if you're keeping your car for long, for some reason this goes out, replace it with an original one, you'll never hear about it again. Until the next time you need to remove a strut or something and it gets destroyed again because it was seized. Probably in the southern states or any place that doesn't use road salt, these will come right out, go right back, nothing happens to them. But always ask when you are presented with a sway bar link replacement bill, you need to ask why every single time. The next thing that is very common to go is a sway bar bushing. So links on both sides connects the bar to your suspension. The bar comes down and then it bolts onto your subframe. What holds it to the subframe is this. So the bar goes through this and it sits on the subframe and a bracket holds it down. Usually 2 bolts, 12 millimeter by the way. These 2 things these are a wear item by the way. They're always getting pushed up and down, and they wear out. It's just a piece of rubber. And the pair is probably like 20 bucks original. Now, I'm gonna put high performance solid ones that are fine. I'm not into that. I don't think you should be putting performance ones, but just by regularly replacing these, let's say, I don't know, every 5 to 10 years, especially if you're DIY and you're doing this yourself, I mean, it takes 10 minutes to put the floor. Some of the front ones can be complicated. You gotta lower the subframe a little bit to get to the bolts that hold it. But when these go out, you're gonna know before your mechanic tells you, because it's gonna make such a horrible noise over bumps. You're gonna feel like the whole suspension is gonna fall apart. When this guy goes loose, you're gonna know before your mechanic, guaranteed. Not very common, not very expensive. Even if you go to a dealership, we're talking less than 200 bucks to put the pair. Not very expensive. And actually, remember, if you're DIY, replace these. You're gonna actually notice a difference in the way the car drives after 5, 10 years, and you replace them, even if they're not loose. Again, if a mechanic just comes to you, you need sway bar bushings. Why do I need sway bar bushings? Oh, they're old. That's a red flag for me, because yes, if you replace them, some slight insignificant performance gain, but not measurable and definitely not worth paying someone just to do it. So I wouldn't waste my money, to be honest, unless they're loose. If you're DIY, different story. You're doing it yourself, they're 20 bucks. Put them on, you might notice a little difference. Life is good. Last but not least, and possibly one of the most controversial subjects, Alignments. Before I get into what the alignment does, and let's clarify one thing. Alignment and balance, tire balance. Alignment aligns your wheels, aligns your suspension geometry. Balance is tire balance. People get these two mixed all the time. If you're a car guy or you're actually aware of this, this is gonna bore you, but sorry, I have to mention it in case you're not aware of the difference. Balance has to do with your tire and wheel balance. Are they balanced as an assembly? Are they going down the road doing this or doing this? These are two different types of balance on the tire. Alignment is your car tracking straight? Is your wheel, not the wheel itself, is the suspension leaned in or leaned out? Is your axis pushed in or pushed out? That's what an alignment is. We're not going to talk about balance right now. We're going to focus on alignment. Alignment is the most controversial thing that people either don't understand or they expect huge difference when they do an alignment. People, there are two things I need you to pay close attention to. If you did not hit a curb, your Toyota is not 30 years old, and you did not hit a curb, and you don't live in a city like Chicago with competition of potholes, you're likely not gonna need an alignment. And the best way to know you need an alignment is look at your tires the day before you replace them. If they look even, why are we worried? These tires you've had for 40, 50, 60, whatever thousand miles, they wore out perfectly till the end. So why do we need an alignment? I don't know. You can answer that yourself. You don't. Alignments, I see people, unfortunately, even at my dealership, and I'm hard on them about this. So the alignment machine, by the way, super expensive machine. If you have a modern one that is updated, probably, I remember the last time we replaced ours, it was like 35 grand. Some ridiculous, that's just the machine itself, not the lift that it sits on. Anyways, I see people, they use this machine and the machine gives you a little pretty printout that shows you, you know, this value is green and this value is red, you know, red is no go, green is good, life is good. That's not an alignment. I can get your alignment so bad that your steering wheel is upside down and your tires are wearing horribly and everything is wrong with the world, but the little sheet will be green. That's not how alignments work. That's why when I don't care who's doing the alignment, I hear people, I have Firestone, I have aftermarket, I hate the dealer, I love the dealer, I don't care who's doing your alignment. As long as they know what they're doing, that they're not playing green-red. I see this all the time. Technicians, they adjust the alignment, it turns green, yep, we're done, that's it, look sir, your alignment is green. Do you even know what you're doing? That's my question to them. I have sent cars out the door with red numbers. Let me rephrase that. I have sent customer cars out the door with red numbers because I'm not playing the green-red game. The alignment needs to be even. There are 3 angles to every alignment. Toe, your wheel, is it in or is it out? This direction. Then there's camber, how your wheel is sitting. Is it slanted in or slanted out? Is it slanted in like the cool kids or slanted out? Caster, the most confusing one. Your strut, you remember we talked about it, how it mounts on the car? The top of the strut and the bottom of the control arm. Are they tilted this way or tilted that way? That's it. Well, there's a lot more, but let's keep it basic. Toe. Your wheel's pushed in, pushed out. When you push your wheel in, you're gonna wear your tires. The end of that story. When you push your wheels out, you're gonna wear your tires. They need to be close to center. However, there is nobody in the world that can center them 100%. That's why they give you a range. Now that range, if this side is on this end of the spectrum of the range and this side is on the other spectrum of the range, that's not good. They need to be even. I don't care if they're outside, they need to be even. And toe in the front determines your steering on center, off center. Toe in the rear also affects it. Not as directly, but it does. Now toe is adjustable in the front in every single car ever made. I don't know about the Ford Model T, but every single car will have a toe adjustment. It has to in the front. Toyotas, they all do in the front. No discussion there. The rear, however, there are some cases where it's not adjustable. But again, we're not playing the green-red number. Are they even? Are they excessively out? Because there is a point where we're talking degrees here, tiny half a degree off where it turns the number red. I'm not gonna make my customer spend $3,000 to replace an axle beam that is slightly bent. That's ridiculous. I'm not playing the red game. I'm looking at the numbers and I'm looking at the specifications. If the number is very, very, very close to the specification, I'm not gonna make my customer spend money. Now, if the toe is adjustable, it's gonna get perfect. It's gonna get sent out perfect. But if the toe is not adjustable, and when the toe is not adjustable and it's out of specification, that means there's bent parts or worn parts. I'm not gonna make you spend fortunes because it's teeny beeny out. That's ridiculous. I need to look at the numbers. The numbers mean more than green and red. Let's move on to camber. Now camber is another one that gets a lot of problems with Toyotas. The front is adjustable, but by a very small margin. The rear camber, and this is a common mistake, is non-adjustable in most cases. Camber will not go out of specification unless the car's been hit or there's a bent part, period. I see people, oh, you need camber bolts. Every time you need to use camber bolts, change the angle of the strut so you can get more than this normal adjustment. Mark my words, every single Toyota that needs camber bolts, there's something catastrophically wrong that you're not seeing. The end of the story. Every time I get one, it has a bent strut. Would you rather me tell you, hey, there's a bent strut, I'm not charging you for the alignment, here's your key, you need a new strut, have a nice day? Or would you rather me start, oh, let me charge you more for more camber bolts to make your camber just look green on the paper, but your car is not fixed, sir, but your paper looks green? I see this all the time. It's ridiculous. So we're explaining this so you understand. When you look at that sheet of paper, you see numbers, you don't see green or red. Very important. Last one, caster. If you have a Toyota that the caster is out of specification, we have a huge problem, huge one. I mean, you have something catastrophic that is wrong, except the trucks where the caster is adjustable, because on most Toyota models, caster is not adjustable. It is just fixed. If caster is out, either your subframe or control arm is severely bent, or worse, your strut tower is bent, and now we're talking totaled cars. So don't look at the green and when you go to get the alignment done in somewhere. This is something you can't DIY unless you plan to buy a $30,000 machine for home. If you do, I want to be your friend. You're gonna get it done somewhere. You're gonna ask them for the printout. You're not gonna argue with them. If a place has a problem giving you a printout, you have a problem with that place working in your car, always. But you need the printout. If you don't know what you're looking at, send it to me. I'll look at it, I don't mind. But usually it's a number and there's a range. You want the numbers to be matching. Not matching perfectly, but close. I don't want to see +1 camber on one side and -1 camber on the other, but the spec says 1.5 to negative 1.5. That's not good. That needs to be corrected. And the toe, I don't want my toe to be 10 on one side and negative 10 on the other. No, I want them to be an even number. 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5 on the other side, close. That's reasonable. And in the back, same deal. Some cars that don't have the adjustable rear toe, you're gonna see maybe red numbers on the actual toe, but then underneath it, you'll see total toe. That's the specification. This is not according to me, this is according to Toyota. That beam in the back flexes and moves, and that's normal, that's the way it's designed. So when you put it in an alignment rack, you might get red numbers or out of specification numbers on the toe itself, but if the total toe is correct, it's correct according to Toyota, not according to me. So that's one thing don't get sucked into is, oh, your toe numbers in the back are red, we need you to spend $3,000 to replace the beam. Don't do that. Always get a second opinion before dumping a lot of money because of a alignment that doesn't want to go. And last but not least, I'm sorry I rambled for a while because this is very important that you understand. It's not the red and green game. When do you need to do an alignment? People ask this all the time. Well, I would say every tire replacement. And the reason I say that is, most people, when they replace their tires, they don't really look at their tires if they're worn evenly or not. Most alignments are not that expensive. Some dealerships will recommend them, oh, you need every 25 to 35, 40, 50, whatever. That's up to you. But more importantly than when you should do it as a maintenance item, which I don't think it is, but anyways, when you have a concern, when your steering wheel was straight when you bought the car, 2 years later, it's a little bit crooked. We have a problem. You need to get it aligned immediately because that's how tire wear starts. You hit a curb. It doesn't just change on its own. You hit a curb, you went over a very strong pothole that actually bend things, or there's something loose or worn. Otherwise, if your car drives straight, you actually happen to look at your tires before you replace them, they're not worn. What are we aligning? By the way, there are some dealerships or even some places they'll give you a cheaper price if your car doesn't need an alignment. So look into that, shop around. Alignment is an alignment, as long as it's a qualified person that's doing it. Okay, so that's that with alignments. Very simple. Educate yourself on alignments. It'll pay you in the long run. Because if you need any help with this, send me an email. I'll be more than glad to look over your alignment sheet, but always ask for it. It's a very good idea. Well, I hope this video was helpful and informative for you. I hope you learned something new in this series or in this specific video. If you like this video in this series, consider hitting a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook for sneak peeks and updates. May the Lord bless you and keep you, and you have a wonderful day.